So the first LIV event of the year has happened. There's been controversy, there's been debate. I actually quite enjoyed it. I don't even know if you're allowed to say that at the moment. So I actually quite enjoyed the format. Thought it was quite refreshing to see golf in a slightly different way. Say 54 holes as opposed to the 72, over 3 days as opposed to 4. And obviously like team format. One of the things I can't look past at the moment, I think there's been total hypocrisy from Sky Sports. They're quite happy to air the F1 at Saudi Arabia. They're quite happy to have the boxing in Saudi Arabia. Quite happy to show other golf tournaments in Saudi Arabia as well. So why not LIV? I think I've got a good thought why. And I think it's because they know they can't buy out the Saudis to try and get the coverage. So they know if it's successful, they're never going to be able to get coverage of the LIV event. I think because Sky Sports paid all that money to the PGA Tour, they're essentially not going to get what they bargained for, are they? They're not going to get the best players in the world. They're not going to get the top 50. They're not going to get them at least 15 events a year. And of course, you can't rule out the fact that Sky Sports can't go to and buy this coverage, and at the moment it's free to air. So anybody that wants to watch LIV can just jump onto YouTube and watch back-to-back live coverage. They can watch the drafts, the parties beforehand, etc, etc. So I think they're in a bit of a tricky situation. Even if the executives actually like the idea of the format, at the moment it's quite a tricky situation for them. They've got to kind of downplay it, haven't they? So I'm not blaming them by any means, but they can't then play the card of, oh well, where's the money coming from? Because they're quite happy to do it in other sports. And to be fair, I don't want to get bogged down in the politics. I want to talk about the golf. So what did I think of the actual golf? Actually quite liked it. I like the idea of the team aspect. But I do think it could be developed. I think it'd be good if you had all the team together, potentially on the first day. It's like you're getting the Ryder Cup, like you're cheering on your team partners, aren't you? That's something that wasn't really shown. The only part where I saw like a little bit of team camaraderie, there was a video that put up of the South African team and they were at breakfast, only about a minute long. But that was pretty cool because they were talking about how they were getting on, how they were practicing, etc. And yeah, I just think that aspect of it could be really, really developed. Even if it's just them going out in pairs. So, I don't know, you've got Team Stinger and Team Diblix playing in a group together. So there's 2 of each. Then you're going to get them cheering each other on, aren't you, potentially? Quite like the idea of that. Like the shotgun start, like the fact that they're all playing together and they've all got the same amount of holes left to go. That's pretty cool as well. There's nothing worse than... especially if you're in the UK, waiting to about midnight for the final group to finish. Actually, it was nice to watch a competition where they weren't finishing at midnight. Might be slightly different when they go to America. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. I also actually quite like that there are some underdogs in there. There are some people that you don't know of and they are from different tours. They are genuinely from all around the world. I think sometimes, especially when you watch the World Golf Championships, yes, it's good to watch the best players in the world, but actually they could all genuinely win, couldn't they? It's hard to root for somebody that's still top 50 in the world, knowing that they probably are still a major champion and they can win the big ones and can cope with the pressure. I do quite like the idea of rooting for somebody that's a complete unknown. Having said that, what I do think, well, I haven't quite wrapped my head around yet, is how are they going to decide who's in these competitions? I noticed last night that there's a file for world ranking points. I don't know how long these kind of processes take. But if they don't get the world ranking points, how are they going forwards going to be able to decide who's in those 54 players or not? I say 48 players, sorry, got my maths wrong. Because they're announcing every day, you've got players like Pat Perez, Bryson joining. Who's going then? Is it the people that finish last in the tournament and they're not going to be invited back? Or is it done on current world rankings? That's something that's not, I don't think, is being discussed. If anybody knows, just hit down the comments down below. I think there might be some things like that that have not been discussed, but it's interesting, isn't it? One of the things I do quite like is the fact that even the person that came in dead last, which I'd seen on Twitter, finished about 24 over, so finished 8 over every round, still got paid like $100,000. Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree with the amount that they got paid for that kind of performance, but at least they've got their expenses paid, and maybe going forwards their model will be players having their expenses paid for the week. That's something on the PGA Tour that is notoriously bad. Lots of people not only lose their card but essentially lose their livelihood. So to sum up, really like the coverage. I think that they've done some things really well. So the draft idea is great with the teams. The highlight reels, say 15 minutes at the end of each round, showing some of the best shots and where the players are at. That should definitely not change. They should keep that going. For the future, be interesting to see how they sort out the world ranking points. It'd be also interesting to find out how they sort out the field, who gets dropped, do they get invited back? If those people aren't invited back and they've been dropped by their respective tours, that's going to cause a lot of issue going forward, isn't it? But thanks for hitting up the channel. You've been watching Walk and Talk Golf. I'm the amateur golfer. See you guys around.